Hey everyone, this is Gabe Frank. I am the CEO and co-founder of Arcade.xyz. We're one of the leading peer-to-peer NFT lending platforms. We've done about 60 million, about 65 million in loans against high-value NFTs. And today we have about 12 million in outstanding loans, so NFTs escrowed into the Arcade protocol. And we do about 2 million a week, almost about 10 million a month now in loans against high-value NFTs. So I'm going to go into detail about kind of the types of collateral, how big this market is, the different types of lending protocols, and give you a better idea and color of kind of the state of NFT lending today. So just a little background on myself. That's my punk. It's currently it's part of a loan, so I'm borrowing 45 ETH for 6 months at 9% APR against that punk. So if you go to Arcade.xyz, you'll see on the app that that loan is an escrow. And so basically what I do with this loan is I borrow at 9% on my punk because punks are the most liquid, so they get the lowest APR. And then I ARB and I lend back out on the platform to longer tail collections that have higher APRs. I'm also a former pawnbroker. So before my crypto life, I was part of a family business of pawn shops. So I used to make loans on non-fungible physical assets, diamonds, watches, paintings, purses, kind of anything that didn't eat. That's what my dad liked to say. And I also worked at a couple institutional crypto custodians, so BitGo and Curv, where I did crypto lending on an institutional scale. So we used to borrow from the depositors into the custodian and then lend out to market makers, OTC desks, kind of like a bank, lending out deposits and sharing the spread back to the depositors. So just to give you some color on the size of this market today, in 2022, there was a total of 500 million in loans against NFTs, and that's a tenfold increase from the previous year. So in 2021, there were only 50 million of loans against NFTs, and the year before that, there was probably 0. So you can kind of see the rapidly growing, even though there's a very niche and small market right now, it's a rapidly growing space. And this is just Dune dashboard. It's a weekly volume chart of all the different leading protocols in NFT finance right now. So it's NiftyFi, it's BendDAO, it's X2Y2, it's us, Arcade, JPEG, and Pine. And right now, the NFT lending space is doing about 25 million to 30 million a week in loan originations against NFTs. And then, so going into the different types of lending protocols, we have peer-to-pool, which is basically you have a borrower that has an NFT. They can deposit that NFT into the pool and take liquidity against it. So it's a resting pool of liquidity, and that's why it's peer-to-pool. And there's differences between peer-to-pool and peer-to-peer. There's advantages and disadvantages on both sides. But peer-to-peer is a little different. You're matched with one counterparty. It's one borrower to one lender. There's no resting pool of liquidity that you can take from. So this thing turn off? Yep. So yeah, I'll go into differences on the two protocols, but just so you have an idea, the leading protocols today are the logos you see on this screen. So it's NiftyFi, Arcade, BendDAO, X2Y2, and JPEG. And between these protocols, we're doing about 25 million a week in loan originations. So some of the main differences of the two types of lending protocols. So peer-to-pool is more like your Aave compound experience. You borrow against a pool of liquidity where the lenders basically, they deposit into the pool, they share the same type of risk profile. And basically with peer-to-pool NFT lending protocols, they treat assets as fungible. So basically with peer-to-pool, there's usually an oracle, like a Chainlink oracle, that basically gives floor prices on chain, and so that's where that's how pricing is determined on the peer-to-pool protocols. Yeah, so some of the other benefits of peer-to-peer are it's instant liquidity for borrowers, and that's why you've seen protocols like peer-to-pool in the fungible token space, like Aave and Compound, really take off because of the flexibility. They're like open-term loans that you can pay off at any time. There are liquidation mechanics, so you can get liquidated in a peer-to-pool lending protocol. It's also limited to collection support because it's based off floor pricing. There's no unique pricing on each NFT. It's just they basically treat it like fungible assets. And then also it's variable rate. So when you're depositing into Aave or Compound, similar to one of the peer-to-pool NFT lending platforms, it's...
We're taking hits. It's not working. Here you go.
Hello, hello? Okay, I think that's a little bit better. And so now getting into peer-to-peer, which Arcade.xyz is peer-to-peer, it's one-to-one, so borrower matches with one lender. There's no pool of liquidity that the borrower is taking liquidity from. They meet on the dApp, they do on-chain negotiation or off-chain negotiation, and then really use the dApp to escrow and settle the collateral and loan. So in peer-to-peer, lenders have different risk profiles. There's lenders for every sort of collection out there. Some lenders are bullish on punks, some are bullish on bases, some are bullish on gen art. So it just kind of depends. So we have a bigger lender base of different risk profiles. Also can support any collection, and that's why you'll see, in addition to PFPs, you'll see art, you'll see one-of-one, gen art, financial NFTs, like Uniswap LP positions, and any other thing that's unique on chain. And the loans are fixed term. So like my punk loan that I got, 45 ETH loan for 6 months, it's fixed term. If I don't come back to pick up that loan in 6 months, then the lender has the claim to my collateral, and they can claim that asset and then do what they want with it. And that's why usually lenders and peer-to-peer are bullish to the collateral anyways, because if the borrower doesn't come back to pick up the asset, they can claim the asset and sell to recoup their profit. So going further into the different types of lending NFT collateral. So these are our main types of collateral that we see on the platform today. Right now, the NFT market cap is probably at about 10, 15 billion, and 70% of that is made up of PFPs. So the majority of the assets on our platform that are used as collateral are from PFPs, but we are starting to see other types of assets as well, like on the art side, so we see one-on-one art loans, we see financial positions like Uniswap LP positions, in-game assets like Wolfgame or other assets that you can use on chain. And then getting into real-world assets as well. So we've done a loan on an actual Rolex that was tokenized as an NFT, and that NFT was used as collateral on our platform. And then just to give you an idea of the volume of these, and which is kind of the top collateral in these lending protocols. So CryptoPunks obviously are the most liquid NFTs today. They're also probably the most in demand. Maybe the most stable price too, so volatility on punks is somewhat low right now. And so that's why lenders are most comfortable lending against CryptoPunks today. And then you go down the stack, and you have Bored Apes, you have Mutant Apes, you have Azuki, Artblocks, CloneX, and those are kind of the top NFTs today being used for collateral. These are a couple cool loans that, I mean, you can't really see. This is some images of our dApp. But this is some big loans that we did on our platform for a golden ape. So the ape loan, this golden ape owner borrowed 370 Ethereum for 30 days at 19% APR. So the holder of this asset is probably borrowing for a couple reasons. It could be for leverage, so just levering up. It could be a downside hedge if he thinks the NFT price is going to tank a few months from now. So he has basically, he's locked in at 370 ETH. He doesn't have to pay back the loan, so it's kind of like a downside hedge. And also it's just capital efficiency. So like these type of loans that are higher value, it's more like the trad art world where $100 million Picassos and Monets, Bank of America lends against those, and they get collateralized and reappraised every year, and the price goes up, and that's just kind of finance and how it works. So the one on the right side is 2 Mega Mutants that was used for a 1,000 ETH loan for 30 days. And so those assets are sitting in our protocol, escrowed in our protocol today. Some more cool loans. This is more on the art side. So on the art side, we're seeing artists like Fuocious and Xcopy, artists that have gone through Christie's and Sotheby's and have works sold at those major auction houses. So there are lenders that are getting comfortable lending against these one-on-one NFTs now. Usually these lenders can always find a bid. If the borrower defaults, the lender has basically a backstop bid to protect themselves and hedge themselves. So these are just some examples of the loan. This Fuocious on the left got a loan for 100,000 USDC at 20% APR for 30 days. In the middle is an Xcopy 101 that was 160 ETH principal. And on the right is another Xcopy 101 for 150 ETH principal. And then going further, so we talked about financial NFTs like Uniswap LP positions. We've done loans on a protocol called, I think it's Liquify or Liquidity. And they have this concept or NFT called chicken bonds. This basically represents a financial position on their protocol. And so borrowers have used those assets as collateral for loans on Arcade. We've also done that Rolex, so that's what that Rolex looks like. It's a Daytona. So if the borrower defaults on that loan, the lender has a claim to the physical Rolex, and that's how that works. This here on the left, on the bottom, is actually a piece of land that was tokenized by a company called Fabrica, and then that land NFT was used as collateral on Arcade. And that's kind of a proof of concept, but you can see the types of value coming on chain and the types of collateral that's going to be used going forward. So why DeFi? Why is this all built on DeFi? I think it's pretty simple. I think that with the FTX collapse and centralized lending collapse of like opaque terms and backroom deals and rehypothecation of collateral, there's a real need for on-chain finance. And then the reasons are because it eliminates counterparty risk. Of course, there's protocol risk, but it eliminates counterparty risk. You have proof of settlement. So basically on-chain governs the entire life cycle of the loan and the collateral. So we cannot touch, as builders of the protocol, we don't have access to any of the collateral that's sitting in our protocol. It's all governed by the smart contracts and the code that we built. It's also non-custodial finance, so you can connect your own wallet, and it's permissionless. You just need a Metamask, you connect to the dApp, and you can be a lender or you can be a borrower. And the rules cannot be changed. The contracts are immutable, so there's proof of settlement. And these assets are digitally native and they're on chain, so it makes sense for sort of NFT finance being built DeFi first. And that's it. Any questions?
Yo. Yep.
So for the settlement of the Rolex and how the physical item, how does that play out? If there was if the holding the Rolex is essentially.
Yeah, so there's a company called 4K.com who we worked with on this one, and basically an owner of a Rolex can send them the physical Rolex. They mint the NFT, keep custody of the Rolex, and then they use the NFT as collateral on the dApp.
Is it the same with the land, essentially, for the title of the...
Same concept with any sort of physical asset, yeah.
Hey, just a two-part question. Do borrowers and lenders agree on a liquidation threshold, and where does your pricing data come from? Is it related to floor pricing or on-chain, or...?
Yeah, good question. So there's no liquidation mechanics on our platform. It's peer-to-peer. So the loan, if the borrower doesn't pay back on the due date, the loan goes into default. And at that point, the lender has a loan note that's a claim to the collateral in escrow. And so they can claim the collateral. What was the second part of that question?
Second part was where you get your pricing data from.
Yeah, so we aren't the lenders ourselves, we're just the marketplace. So we provide valuations through other protocols like NFT Bank. But basically, lenders who come to the platform, they have their own idea of valuations. They use their own metrics. But we do try and provide that data to get the valuation piece. Yep.
How do you take care of the security of your smart contracts? Let's say there was an earlier question about liquidation. Let's say something unexpected happens. The borrower is not. The lender is provided NFT, and the borrower and someone who wants to hack this arrangement. So let's say, like, if a person needs to part with their NFT, how strong, how secure your contracts are, and tell me if I'm
You're asking about
rambling too much.
You're asking about the security of the smart contracts?
Exactly. Like, for instance, if someone is about to lose their very valuable NFT through the not meeting the loan requirements, like, and how safe your contract is that they will not be able to hack it.
Yeah, so our protocol team is sitting right here, and they can answer all the technical hard questions like that. But basically, we've gone through several audits of the code and smart contracts. The contracts are battle tested, so we've done about 60 million of loans, and we're very focused on security. A lot of our engineers have come from custodians in the space, and a lot of focus on security. Yeah.
It would be cool to share about rolling over your loan.
Yeah, for sure. So we have this concept of loan extensions on Arcade. So if somebody gets a 30-day loan, basically at the end of 30 days, they have to pay off, right? But on Arcade, we allow lenders to make a bid for an extension. So if I have a 100 ETH loan and it's coming due in a day, somebody can make, another lender, doesn't have to be the original lender, can make a bid on my loan so that I can extend, and I just pay the interest. And so that's what about half the loans on our platform are doing. They extend every month or every term. So we've kind of created this competitive bid market for extensions that really drives down APRs and rates for our borrowers, which is kind of unique from other lending protocols.
What do your default rates look like?
Yeah, so surprisingly, our default rate is around 5%.
And how does that compare to like traditional loans?
The traditional...
Like a more traditional loan in traditional finance?
I mean, like payday loan lenders, if you want to compare that, is like 30% defaults. 5% is, I think, pretty low, especially for these NFTs in a new market. And that's, I think, because we allow users to extend loans, and that's why we don't see too many defaults. Yeah.
Okay. Two questions connected, kind of. First is, how do you set up the interest rates for the loans? And the second, maybe related, is how do you entice people to stick with your platform, and how you are different from the other NFT lending platforms? Thanks.
Yeah, so I mean, how we're different from the other lending protocols, we all each have our own design. Like the way we've designed our protocol is unique. Others have designed their protocol. We're peer-to-peer. It's a pretty simple concept. Peer-to-peer, if you don't pay back the loan, lender can claim. But I think what makes us unique is some of our smaller features that allow borrowers to extend loans. Our team is very active in this space as well. We're all on Discord if there's ever an issue. We onboard people very easily. We have a BD team. So we're a DeFi protocol, but we sort of have a pretty big human element to what we do. Yeah, and can you repeat your other questions? I'm sorry.
The interest rates is, in my mind, it will be obviously important for those who place the collateral on your platform is one of the retention points for them. So how do you set up your rates?
Yeah, so the rates are determined by the lender and borrower. So we are just we provide the marketplace. And the rates are determined by like the history on the platform. Lenders already know what rates they'll lend, like the LTV, the duration, the rate. And then they give that to the borrower, and the borrower can decide if they want to accept those terms. So sometimes that negotiation happens off-chain, sometimes it happens on-chain via signed messages. Cool, thank you all very much.